Hello everyone, today we will be taking up the political history of the Vijaynagar Empire and the Bahamani Kingdom. First of all, let us go through the Vijaynagar Empire. The significance of the Vijaynagar Empire in the history of India is that for 3 centuries it stood for the older religion and culture of the country and saved them from being engulfed by new ideas and forces. It also indirectly presented the extension of the influence of the Bahamani Kingdom and its offshoots in the north, where the power of the Delhi Sultanate has been considerably weakened by keeping them constantly engaged in the south. On the other hand, the Bahamani Kingdom is significant because of all the independent kingdoms that arose in the ruins of the Delhi Sultanate. The Bahamani Kingdom of the Deccan proved to be most powerful. The Bahamani Sultanate, also called the Bahamani Empire or the Bahamani Kingdom, was a Muslim state of the Deccan in South India and one of the great medieval Indian kingdoms. Bahamani Sultanate was the first independent Islamic kingdom in South India. So what are the sources for the study of the Vijaynagar Empire and that of the Bahamani Kingdom? The sources are archaeological finds, inscriptions, records and accounts of foreign travelers, and literatures written in Telugu, Kannada, Tamil and Sanskrit. First of all, we will go through the political history of the Vijaynagar Empire. The name of the empire is constructed from 2 words which is composed of Vijaya meaning victory and Nagara meaning city, which means city of victory. Originally, it was called Vijayanagar or the city of learning and later renamed it as Vijayanagara. It is also called Karnataka Samrajya. It has its capital, which is the nucleus of the Vijayanagar Empire at Vijaynagar or Hampi. Initially, it was called Virupaksa Tirtha, then Pampa Tirtha. Later, Pampa became Hampi in Kannada, named after the goddess of Pampa Devi. The Vijayanagar Empire was founded in 1336 AD by Harihara I and his brother Bukkaraya I of the Sangama dynasty in the Deccan in the wake of the rebellions against the Tughlaq rule. It was founded on the advice of sage Madhava Vidyaranya. The empire extended over the southern part of India, which included the territories of Trichinopoly, Mysore, Kannada, Chingalpat and Kanchivaram. The ruins of Hampi were brought to light in 1800 by Colin Mackenzie, an employee of the English East India Company who was an engineer, surveyor as well as a cartographer. In 1815, he was appointed as the first surveyor or general of India, a post which he held till his death in 1821. The empire was always at war with the Bahamani Kingdom and other Muslim rulers of northern Deccan, collectively referred as the Deccan Sultanates. Krishnadeva Raya was the most capable ruler of the Vijayanagar Empire. He belongs to the Tuluva dynasty and was the greatest ruler of Vijayanagar. He was not only a great warrior, but also a general, administrator, but also a scholar. He assumed the title of Yavana Rajya Sthapanacharya, which means establisher of the Yavanor Muslim kingdom. He was also referred as Andhra Boza, which means patronage for war and literature, and was also known as Abhinava Bhoja. The reign of Krishnadeva Raya not only marked the climax of the territorial expansion of the Vijayanagar Empire, but was also remarkable for the encouragement and development of art and letters. The Portuguese travelers Domingo Paes and Duarte Barbosa depicts a thriving city and kingdom under a highly venerated and capable ruler. 8 poets called the Astadigajas, known as the 8 gems, adorned the court of Krishnadeva Raya. He defeated the king of Orissa called the Gajapati and recovered the Raichur Dwar from Bahamani Sultan Ismail Adil Shah near Raichur on the 12th March 1520. He overran the Bijapur territory and razed to the ground the fortress of Gulbarga. Now let us look into the Battle of Talikota, which was an important and significant event in the history of the Vijayanagar Empire because it led to the disintegration and defeat of the Vijayanagar Empire. The battle took place on 23rd January 1565 at a site marked by the two villages of Raksas and Tagadi, and therefore it was also known as the Battle of Raksha Tangadi. The battle was fought between Rama Raya and his two brothers, Tirumala and Venkatadri, and the allied Deccan sultans of Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Golconda, and Bidar, excluding Bera. The battle resulted in the defeat of Vijaynagar army with immense losses. Rama Raya was captured and killed, but his brother Tirumala escaped to Penugonda with the Emperor Sadasiva Raya and much of the royal treasuries. The Battle of Talikota was one of the decisive battles in the history of India. It destroyed the chance of Hindu supremacy in the south, which was left open to the invasion of the rulers of the new Turkish dynasty. It paved the way for the Maratha power in the 17th century and also paved the way for the Mughal rule in the south. The magnificent city of Vijaynagar was sacked and deprived of the splendor by the invading army. The results of the Talikota battle are: it led to the general slaughter, loot and plunder of the city, ruins of temples and buildings, and it dealt a crushing blow to the Vijaynagar Empire. With the Battle of the Talikota, the Vijaynagar Empire, even though it existed in name only. And therefore, we will now look into the history of the Bahamani Kingdom. The Bahamani Kingdom was founded by Muhammad Hassan Gangu, who was entitled Jafar Khan, a Turkish officer under Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He founded the Bahamani dynasty on 3rd August 1347 under the title Abul Muzaffar Alauddin Bahman Shah. He selected Gulbarga as the capital and renamed it Hassanabad. The empire, when he died on 17 February 1358, extended till the Waiganga River in the north to the Krishna River in the south and from Daulatabad in the west to Bhongir in the east. Let us look into the rulers of the Bahamani Kingdom. There were many rulers who ruled one after another in the Bahamani Kingdom. Besides the founder Alauddin Bahman Shah, the last of the Bahamani rulers, Muhammad Shah Bahman III, with his death in 1527 AD, the Bahamani Kingdom came to an end after about 185 years rule. With the decline of the Bahamani Kingdom, there arose 5 sultanates of the Deccans. The 5 separate sultans which arose in the Deccan one after another on the breakup of the Bahamani Kingdom were known after the titles of their founders as Imad Shahi dynasty of Berar, the Nizam Shahi dynasty of Ahmednagar, the Adil Shahi dynasty of Bijapur, the Qutub Shahi dynasty of Golconda, and the Barid Shahi dynasty of Bidar. Later on, it was annexed by the Adil Shahis of Bijapur. So, what causes the decline of the Vijaynagar Empire and the Bahamani Kingdom? First of all, let us look into the decline of the Vijaynagar Empire. The main causes were increased autonomy of provincial governors, weakening of central authority. It failed to develop a sustained commercial activity in spite of various facilities, and it also allowed Portuguese settlement on the west coast for commercial profits. The Battle of Talikota was another important factor, and their insane pride, blind selfishness, disloyalty, and mutual dissensions among the rulers of the Vijayanagar was also one of the factors which led to the decline of the Vijayanagar Empire. This led to the emergence of independent kingdoms such as the chiefs of Seringapatam and the Naiks of Madurai and Tanjore. With that, we will now look into the history, political history of the Bahamani Kingdom's defeat and why it led to its decline. The Bahamani Kingdom declined because of the civil wars, because of the court intrigues, as well as a rivalry between the Deccan nobles with their allies, which were composed of the Africans and the Mawalas, who were issues of African fathers and Indian mothers on the one side, and on the other, the foreign nobles composed of the Turks, the Arabs, the Persians, and the Mughals. Then there was lack of definite law of succession, as a result of which several claimants among the sons of the deceased ruler for the throne came up. Then religious differences was also another important causes which led to the decline of the Bahamani Kingdom. As most of the Deccan Muslims were Sunnis, the majority of the rival party consisted of Shia Muslims. Another important causes was the religious fanaticism. Jihad or holy war, as well as military campaigns and war against the infidels, was one of the factors which led to the decline of the Bahamani Kingdom. The reasons for the conflict between the Vijaynagar and the Bahamani Kingdom are mainly because of certain important factors such as economic reasons, which is the control over Raichul Dwab, control of Krishna Godavari Delta, control of Goa, control of the diamond mines in Golconda. The political conflicts between the two kingdoms were mainly because both the powers desired to extend their kingdom and each considered the other as a danger to the existence of the other. Rama Raya's diplomatic policy was also another important cause, which was the main point of conflict between the two kingdoms. Rama Raya's continuous interference in the internal rivalry of the 5 Muslim sultans of the Deccan thus eventually led to the Battle of Talikota and his death, and the decline as well as the conflict between the two important kingdoms. Religious differences was also another factor which led to the conflict between the two kingdoms. Ever since the conquest of Deccan by Malik Kafur, the vanquished Hindu rulers had resented the Muslim oppressors and therefore wanted to establish a great Hindu empire in the Deccan. On the contrary, the Bahamani rulers were Muslims. Consequently, there was religious rivalry between the two powerful kingdoms in the Deccan. And with that, we have concluded the political history of the Vijaynagar Empire and that of the Bahamani Kingdom. Thank you.